All right. Hello and welcome to our body signals of the month of May. So I thought it would be fitting to talk about posture since May is posture month. So this is one of my absolute favorite topics. And why is that? Well, one of the big issues is that we do not pay attention to our posture. And there's so many things right now that are breaking down our posture in our modern day world. So I'm excited to share this information with you tonight. This is the 7th workshop in the Body Signals series. So far, I truly believe that many lives have been transformed by the information that we've been sharing. We've covered things like headaches, digestive diseases or disorders, allergic and atopic disorders, hip pain, knee pain, shoulder pain. And so we've really had a big impact on allowing you to understand how to take care of yourself. Immune system, immune function, that was a huge one as well. So we are going to be really working on how our body is able to function, right? There are multiple times when we get the opportunity to hear some things that we can take action on. Today, I would encourage you that if you take action on some of the things that I'm talking about, your life is going to be upgraded. Now, I challenge you that if you are watching this live right now, to answer questions, to chime in, and to make sure that we get a chance to look at. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to pull up and make sure that I can see anybody who is asking questions. So feel free, type over in the side, give me a thumbs up on Facebook if you're there, so I know that you are listening and that you know what's going on. So today we're going to be discussing ideal posture and creating your ideal posture. When you create your ideal posture, you create a better life. There's two things that your spine is meant to do. The first thing is hold us upright, and that's what we call our posture. The second thing is to protect the delicate nervous system. The nervous system is what controls and coordinates every function that happens inside our body. So what does that mean to you? Well, if your posture is bad, every cell, every tissue, every organ, and every system is under another level of stress because the nervous system's under stress. The spine is what we call our body's suit of armor. So it actually literally protects the delicate spinal cord, which is the deliverer or the freeway of life that delivers information throughout the body. So let's get started today. I'm excited to share this information with you. So let's take a look at the brutal facts, right? Which nation spends more money on healthcare than any other nation in the world? To the tune of $2 trillion. And I believe this year, we're probably going to double that or even more. Literally, this is double the amount spent by the number 2 country, right? Second question, which nation consumes over 45% of the world's prescription drugs, yet represents less than 5% of the world's population? Third and final question. When the world's top 40 developed countries were rated according to the healthiest nation, where does the US land on that list? Number 1 is the healthiest, number 40 is the sickest. Well, unfortunately, we're near the bottom. Some studies are showing that we're number 38, some that we're number 40. I just think that's atrocious and that we can do better than that. But this all starts with us taking care of ourselves, and more importantly, us teaching the next generation, our kids, what we need to do. Bye, Dr. Leah.
Our kids.
That's right. So we want to make sure that everybody is taking care of their posture, and you parents are the key to this process, because we all know that the more we remind our kids, hey, sit up straight, how well does that work? It's not working for us, right? So we need to have tips and tricks so that we can understand and create the importance of how we can make this better, right? So the posture is the window into the spine. It's literally the shape of the spine and gets the spine proper. So if we're looking at somebody from the side and their head's over their shoulders, everything's being supported, the muscles do not have to be activated whatsoever. But if we start to come forward like this, right? How many people do we see like this? probably 60, 70, 80% of people, maybe higher, have this forward head posture syndrome, which puts a tremendous amount of weight on the rest of the spine. This not only causes headache and neck pain, but it also causes extreme stress and pressure as the spinal cord gets tensioned, right? So posture is the window into the spine. This is something that you can do and you can look at on your friends, on your family, even just walking down the street. When you don't want to see it, you're still going to start to see it now after you watch this. So which direction are you headed, right? We started out in kind of quadruped position. Now we're upright. Now, as the picture shows, we're heading other ways, right? So why do we touch on this? Why is this important to you, right? Over the years, we have forgotten to move. We grow up, we go to school, we get jobs, and before we know it, we sit. And we sit, and we sit for many hours. And we sit again for hours on end and years on end. We shift, we squirm, we groan. Today, our bodies are breaking down from obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, depression, and the cascade of health illnesses that kind of come from everyday sickness and just feeling bad. How many people do I see every day that come in with brain fog or fatigue? The majority, right? Sleeping, sitting at work, watching TV, leisure time, computer at home, eating, it adds up to about 21 hours of sedentary hours per day for the average American. What does that leave? That leaves 3 hours for being active. We're sitting up to 13 hours a day, and I might argue that in this past year, that number's gone up, right? Researchers suggest that this is wreaking havoc on our health, right? There was a research that was done 3 or 4 years ago that talked about sitting is to your spine what sugar is to your teeth. Actually, no, that's my quote. They found that sitting is worse for you than smoking. It's taking that much time off your life. An Australian study revealed that sitting at work leads to more sitting at home and eventually obesity, right? Don't we want a healthy and vibrant workers? So let's get up and move. I feel blessed to be a chiropractor for many reasons, but for one reason is we have the opportunity to be up, moving around, and taking care of how our body actually moves, right? So again, why is this important? Is your job literally killing you? You need to do something about it. Today, we're going to talk about part of what we need to do. So let's think about which direction you're heading in, and let's get you moving in the right direction, right? Our current model, as I was saying, is not working. The things that we are doing, the way that we're living is not leading us down a path of success. Our most valuable asset is our health, and our posture is at the center of our health. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but our posture literally predicts how our body is going to age physically and emotionally, right? We know this because if somebody looks depressed, what do we look like? We look downtrodden. And you know what? There's actually been research that shows that when your posture is in a depressed position, that guess what? You are going to be more likely to be depressed, right? So our current model, we have escalating numbers of people who are obese, who have diabetes, who have strokes, who have cancers, asthma, allergies, autism, infertility, multiple sclerosis. So many people are dealing with this in our current model. And yet the answer to many of those questions in my first slide is the US, right? We spend more on medication than any country. So let me ask you a question. You know the little mirrored object that is in your bathroom that opens up? What do we call that? Anybody? That's right, a medicine cabinet. Let me ask you a question. Are you more healthy if that medicine cabinet is chock full of medicine or if it's empty? Yeah, right? If it's empty. The more medications we take, it doesn't make us healthier. Medication is meant to stop a crisis, and it's good in certain situations. They're not meant to be lived on, right? Our bodies are meant to be healthy. Healthy is normal. We need to understand how to work in symbiosis with our nature, with our body, and the way that we're able to function, right? So you are extraordinary. From the time that two cells come together, the DNA of two cells meet, and you end up being a baby, and then a toddler, and then a young, and then a child, right? And then we become a teenager, and then a young adult, and we go through all these different stages. And throughout all these stages, we have challenges, right? So we want to understand how our body can start to function at its best, at its optimum, how we can have energy at the end of the day, the same as what we have when we wake up in the morning, right? So we talk about body signals. And what do I mean by body signals? Well, body signals are the tip of the iceberg, right? An iceberg, usually the small parts at the top, underwater is where the big part of the iceberg is, right? So this is a great example. On the top of the iceberg is a headache, right? The bottom of the iceberg is everything that's going wrong, a neck subluxation, right? A neck subluxation is going to consist of tightness in the muscles, misaligned vertebra, joint adhesions, swelling and inflammation. All of these things are going to cause the symptoms that you don't like, which is the headache. Symptoms are simply body signals that indicate a deeper issue, right? So we want to learn to think about these things like this, right? They're literally like a fire alarm or like a smoke alarm, things that are going off on a regular basis. These are important to understand because if we can start to change them when they start, then we can make a better progress on them and we don't have to deal with the massive downslide of our health on the other end of these, right? So body signals, right? As much as 77% of an office workday is spent sitting in front of a computer. This is going to lead to many body signals, right? Whether it's your lower back, whether it's your neck, whether it's headaches, body signals are everywhere and they're telling you what to do. Sitting is the cause of stress, right? We don't think of sitting as being stressed. We think of people who sit as having a cush job, right? But the stress of sitting disturbs the body's homeostasis, the body's balance, and the body's stress levels start to elevate, leaves us open for attack, right? So this is where we really start to become and have different issues with how our body's doing. So let's look into this. Mostly, we look at small things over time starting to cause irritation, right? So when we see posture, we're looking to the cause of disease at the spine, right? So what we're looking at, this person is in pain, they're bending over. Obviously, this is not a neutral posture, but our body's trying to get away from the pain. So what does our body do when it gets away from the pain? It starts to change the way that we move. You know, our nervous system controls our muscles. Our nervous system controls everything in our body. So if a nerve is starting to get pinched, our body leans the opposite way. On the picture on your screen, how's your posture? If there's a nerve being pinched in your lower back, your body leans forward to try and relieve some of that stress off of the nerves, right? So mostly small things that happen over and over again and again, they create big issues, right? I've always said, and we always say at the office, that small things done consistently over time create either good health or ill health. And so we want to know and understand where those things are. So as we move forward, right, do these things look normal? So many people this year have been working on their laptops. Posture is incredibly important. Let's actually take a bit of a break right here and talk about what is good posture. I think that's where we need to start. So number one, if we're looking at standing posture, and then we'll look at sitting posture, the head should be over the shoulders, shoulders should be over the hips, and hips over the ankles. Now, if our head is shifted one direction or the other direction, or one shoulder is high or the other shoulder is high, or our heads are coming forward, that's not stacked correctly. What I like to tell people is that your spine should be like a block of or a stack of Jenga blocks. So what that means is if we took all the muscles away from a human spine and stacked it on the floor, it should be able to stay there without falling over, right? The spine also has three natural curves when we look at it from the side: the neck curve, the mid-back curve, and the lower back curve. Those curves make it so our spine acts like a spring. So when gravity presses down on us, we're not getting compressed and the discs don't get injured, right? So the head should be directly over the sternum over the pubic bone, and then that should go straight down in between your two legs from the side. The ear should be over your shoulder, the shoulder should be over your hips, and the hips should be over your ankles. any variation from these positions starts to cause stress on the spine. This causes muscles to want to react and interact. And then these things start to cause body signals. So let's just take a simple one that so many people have, right? It's displayed on your screen, forward head posture. And this is one of the ways that this is created, whether you're working on a laptop or your desktop, right? We want to get into the work further. We might need glasses, we might need other things, but as our head shifts forward, you can see how the top of my neck gets compressed because it's extended. These muscles at the base of my skull are tight. The muscles in the front are pulling me forward, but the muscles in the back have to support it so my head doesn't literally fall off my shoulders, right? That wouldn't happen because your body's working on holding that back. But done like this day after day, year after year, those muscles become chronically tight. Do this for me. Just grab on to your shoulders right here and tell me if they're tight. There should be some tone there, but they shouldn't be like rocks, right? Do you ever go to your massage therapist and they say, wow, these things feel like rocks. I can't even get them to relax. That's not because you're so strong. It's because those muscles are overused. Once they become overused, they start to not function the way they're supposed to, right? So our posture changes this. Now, this is one of my favorite ones. Doc, I just don't know what happened, right? We can get injured in many ways. Subluxations, poor posture are created by stress. That can be physical stress, like what's on the screen, right? It can be emotional stress. This can be a death in the family. This can be sitting inside for the last year. This can be an argument with a spouse. This can be an argument with your children. And it can also be chemical stress, right? This is something that gets kind of brushed to the side. Our world is more toxic today than it has been at any other time in history. It's why we do detox in the office, true cellular detox, because we need to get rid of these toxins that are getting built up. Since 1996, the toxins in the world have drastically increased with the use of GMOs and being able to mass spray herbicides and pesticides on our food, but still not have it die. So stress is where this happens. The obvious ones like are on the screen or in a car accident, but many other types of stress as well, right? Falling on your bike. You know, kids by the age of 5 have over 2,000 falls, right? Over 2,000 falls. That is going to affect the spine. So why should kids see a chiropractor? Well, posture starts from the time you're born. As you start holding your head up, it starts to form the strength in the neck. As you start to crawl, it starts to coordinate the muscles of your spine. As you start to sit, it gets the curvature in the lower back to start to form. If any of these stages are missed, posture can start to be shifted, right? Now, when we start giving a kid an iPhone or an iPad or some kind of device, and they're looking at these things multiple hours a day, a week, a month, starting at age 2, 3, 4, 5, they start to move into these positions and postures. We really start to see this C shape coming back to the spine. So much so that we're actually seeing these postures showing up on X-ray, and we're starting to see bones growing from the back of the head because the muscles are trying so hard to hold the body up. Posture is incredibly important to your health. And I believe it's becoming more important as our generation becomes more of a sitting posture, right? So posture self-assessment, stand yourself in the mirror, or better yet, if you have a friend or family member that can take a picture of you, get in somewhat tight-fitting clothes, march yourself and shake your body out, and then just stand, right? And then have somebody take a picture of you from the front, and then have them go to the side and have them take a picture from the side. Now, when you do this, don't cheat. Make sure that you are standing relaxed. Don't try and stand perfect for the picture. If you really want to see and try and help yourself, this is where this starts. It's about understanding that you have a problem, right? What's the first way to get help is to admit that you have a problem. I hate to say this, but 90% of our population has a problem with posture. If it's not addressed, it's going to cause symptoms, body signals, pains, and dis-ease or disharmony in the way our body functions, which will eventually lead to breakdown, right? So we want to understand that. So when we look at that picture, there should be a straight line we draw from center of our eyeballs, our nose, our center of our mouth and our lips, the center of our upper neck here. Can you see this right here? So this area right here, this is the center. If you put your finger right here, there's actually a V right there. That should line up with your nose, your lips, the center of your face, right? And then we want to see if our head's one direction or the other. We also want that to line up with our belly button, and our belly button to line up with our pubic bone, which is in the center of our hips. And then that should go straight down to the center. From the side, it's a little bit easier. Oh, actually from the front, let me give you another idea. Hang your arms to the side. If you see more air between your body and your arm, then your body's leaning that direction, right? So it lets us know that your body is actually translated or shifted one direction or another. When you look from the side, super easy, right? Head should be over the shoulders, shoulders over the hips. This becomes a problem when the shoulders are totally rolled forward. I know you can't see mine very well. Shoulders rolled forward, head's coming forward. It might look, hey, my ear's over my shoulders, but the shoulders are not in position. So the shoulders need to be in the right position. And then you can see how far you are forward. So let's take a look at how this works, right? So this is a kid posture checkup. Do this to your children. Help out. This is so important. It's so important for your life. It's so important for your kids growing up, especially when they've been doing education from home. They've been on laptops. They've been doing atypical movement patterns this year. They haven't been getting out and doing recess, right? We need to get these kids back to playing, because how do you think muscles are formed, right? They don't go to the gym and work out. It's about play. So again, when we look over here, we see that the woman on the left has her head coming forward, shoulders are rolled forward, her tummy's coming forward, and her feet are staying in position. So her hips are forward, her shoulders are back, her heads are forward. This is creating a massive amount of stress, right? I'm going to bring my cursor over here so you can see how this area of the spine is going to create stress. Also, it's going to create stress at the base of the skull, upper part of the back, and then also the lower back is getting compressed, right? And this person is not using their abs at all. I want you to picture this, and look, she just goes and stands appropriately. Look at this now again. We see the ears over the shoulders, right? Pretty straight line there. Shoulders over the hips, and then hips over the ankles. Just by doing that, look how much better she looks, right? She looks more attractive. She looks more balanced. She looks more comfortable, right? These are huge pieces. But you know what's been happening for the last year? This is what's been happening, right? We've been doing education work from our bed, from the kitchen table, from the dining room table, wherever we can find a space, right? My daughter's back at school, which is amazing, but they actually have to sit in a line and have their lunch from their lap, right? So now we're creating further breakdown with this, right? So we talk or we hear about a condition called tech neck, right? Tech neck is when that head is starting to shift forward. And as that head shifts forward, it puts a tremendous amount of stress. Looking at this boy, can you see why he's going to have mid-back pain? Can you see why he's going to have headaches, potentially even jaw pain and lower back pain? This is causing weakness in the core. It's not allowing his body to function the way that it's supposed to. If you look at any baby who's just learning how to sit up, their posture is amazing, right? You haven't had to teach them how to do that. This is just the way our bodies are built. Our body breaks down because of the modern day natural stress that we have, right? This is why I believe that everybody should be checked at birth by a chiropractor so that we can make sure that we get started off right and then checked up throughout their life to make sure their body's moving in the right direction. And if it's not, we make corrections quickly, right? Because if we don't, then it continues to degenerate. And we start to see that on x-ray in later years. So we look at excessive sitting and metabolism. So now we're going to take a look at how this sitting not only affects your posture, but maybe it starts making us gain weight. Maybe it starts making our metabolism. So, God, doc, it's just because I'm getting old. 5 years ago, I could eat anything I wanted and I would still look fine. Now, I just look at food and I start to gain weight. Well, maybe it's not because of your age. Maybe it's because of the sitting and the change in your metabolism, because as you know, your body responds to stress. Stress, if you're ever in one of my workshops, I ask this question. Is stress a good thing or a bad thing? Chronic stress is a horrible thing. It really causes 90% of the chronic illnesses that we have. But stress, acute stress, is a good thing. It causes us to change. It causes our bodies to adapt. It causes us to get things done, right? But excessive sitting, so I'm just going to read off the screen. Excessive sitting impacts our body's metabolic system. So today, our bodies are breaking down from obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, depression, and a cascade of health ills every day and everyday malaise that come from what scientists have named the sitting disease, right? So this is no joke. This is something that we need to start to change, and we need to move, and we need to do it now. So we look at, let's do this. So what do we need to do, right? Okay, if you're sitting right now, I want you to stand up. I want you to move around a little bit. Whew. Raise your arms up above your head. Let's get some stretching in. We're going to get some action going here, right? Okay, so these are things that you should be doing each and every day. So let's look at this. The average work week, right? What do you think? 7.5 hours of sitting a day? I think it's way higher than that. As I showed earlier, 13 hours of sitting is where we're at, right? What did I say? 21 hours of sedentariness in a 24-hour period of time. This is not driving us in the right direction, right? This work stress, this lifestyle stress, it's what we do all day, right? This is trauma, right? This is micro trauma. Sitting is to your spine what sugar is to your teeth. It's important that we start to look at some of these things as micro traumas, right? The way that we look at our phone. This is a really cool thing that I tell a lot of people, and take note of this. This is really easy. If I've got my phone, right, and I'm looking at my phone like this is fantastic. But sometimes this is not realistic, right? We get lazy, our head comes down. I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can look at your head. You tell me, and go ahead and give me a thumbs up which one you think is right. So if I tip my head down like this, that head comes way far forward and it puts a ton of stress on the back of my neck. The alternative way, I gave the answer away, sorry about that. The alternative way is to bring your phone down and then to just look down like this. So you just tuck your chin, because now see, I'm not putting as much stress. My ear is closer to my shoulders rather than coming all the way down, right? You can see the difference between that and the difference that it makes. The energy level in your body at the end of the day is going to be dramatically different by changing that one thing. This is the cool thing I love to help kids with when they come into the office. You may have been sitting in one of our jump chairs and your child's on their phone, and I go over and start talking to your child while you're getting adjusted. Well, that is because I believe that we need to teach these kids, because they've grown up with no other way, right? So we've got kinetic chain, right? We've got a kinetic chain. A kinetic chain is the song that we learned growing up. I don't know if they sing it anymore, but the foot bone's connected to the leg bone's connected to the hip bone, right? I know I'm not a great singer, so. But the kinetic chain is what connects each and every area together. The spine is a classic kinetic chain. It's literally a chain. It's 24 movable bones that are connected together that build on top of one another. If that kinetic chain is out of its natural alignment, the spine causes stretching. It causes stress on the spinal cord. Let me ask you a question so that you can understand this idea. If we look at my hand, okay, let me see how this works. So if we look at my hand, the distance, if a spinal cord or anything is running here, right, the distance is relatively small. It's traveling along the inside of this. But if I straighten my hand out, you can even see how it goes out of the frame. Now the distance is bigger. The spinal cord gets stretched. Now think with me like this. Think of a thick rubber band, okay? If that thick rubber band is not being stretched, if it's loose, then it's totally fine, right? We see it. If that's your spinal cord, information can run through it. But as soon as we start to stretch that elastic band, what happens to the elastic band? What happens? It gets smaller, right? It gets stretched. It becomes thinner. That doesn't allow the information to travel through the spinal cord when it's getting stretched. So the kinetic chain is essential to make sure our bodies function well. Now, I'm just talking about the spine. What does the posture do if we have that posture that that woman had? What does it do to our hips, to our knees, to our ankles, right? When we shift forward or back, this starts to put abnormal stress on all the areas of our body, all the systems, all the organs, all the functions of our body. We need to start thinking logically about how our bodies work. Our bodies are meant to be healthy, right? We're not meant to break down and to see the doctor all the time. But in this modern day stressful world, our bodies need help, right? We need to understand. It's why it's our huge mission to create education around how the body's supposed to function. So these slumping can lead to strains and sprains, right? So shoulder slumping, this is the body coming forward. When those shoulders roll forward, and I apologize for my dark shirt, but when those shoulders roll forward, it puts the collarbone at the wrong angle. It puts the mechanics of the shoulder in the wrong position. So then what do we see? Rotator cuff injuries, chronic. Doc, I didn't do anything to my shoulder. I didn't throw a ball. I didn't tear it. I just woke up and my shoulder was sore. Well, that's because we're in this chronic position shifting forward. We get weak rhomboids, weak paraspinals, the rotator cuff gets into dysfunction, tight pec muscles, the muscles in the front. These can be shoulder pain, they can be neck pain, they can be headaches, they can be fatigue. Carpal tunnel or wrist pain, right? When the head is shifting forward, I don't have a picture of this, but when the head shifts forward, all the nerves that go into the arms are at the lower part of the neck. The median nerve, which is the one that creates carpal tunnel, comes from the very lowest part of the neck, C7. It runs through all the muscles along here, and so then it goes down your arm. It doesn't feel anything all the way down your arm until it gets past your wrist. Past your wrist, that's where the median nerve feels. When they go in and they cut the carpal tunnel, they're freeing up the median nerve. But guess what? Most of the time, it's happening in the neck, or it's happening in the forearm, and happening in the wrist. The more areas it's being compressed, the more symptoms you have, right? And then sitting stress, right? This is what we've been talking about. Sitting. Sitting's to your spine what sugar is to your teeth. You guys are going to be repeating that over and over again, right? So sitting stress. Let's just think about this logically. If you sit, what do? Right? Let's see, our knees are bent, our hips are bent, right? So we're in that position. Now, if we slump our bodies forward, let's talk about all these. So if we're sitting, our hamstrings are shortened, right? Our quad muscles are lengthened. Our hip flexors or our psoas muscle is shortened, right? Our upper shoulders are rolled forward. Our head's coming forward. So the muscles in the back of the neck are shortened. The muscles in the front of the neck are shortened, and the muscles in the mid-back are weakened, right? So a lot of these things are marked on here. So we start to get symptoms of this. What are these symptoms? Lower back pain, sciatica, restless leg syndrome. People think that these things come on just because you're getting old. I've got restless leg because my mom had it, because my dad had it. No, it's because of the way that you're functioning in your body, right? These things are preventable. They are fixable. It's the way that we do things every day. So, nerve supply. This is going to be Neurology 101, and hopefully this makes sense to you, right? The pictures that you see are pictures of the spine. Remember, I talked about the spine having 3 natural curves. I talked about how the nervous system controls and connects everything. Well, let's think about it this way, right? You know that your nervous system is the master system, right? Hopefully we all know that. That means it runs everything. Your brain is in constant communication with all the tissues, organs, and organ systems of your body. All these systems are always talking back to the brain, and all that communication takes place across the nerves, right? And what did I say the spinal cord was? It's the freeway of life that delivers that to the brain and back to the body. It's these thoughts, it's these impulses that keep you upright. It's how your body digests your lunch. It's how your body knows how to build healthy cells and where those nutrients need to go, right? It has kept you alive for an entire life. It built you from 2 cells. And all this info courses across the nervous system. The nervous system, that exchange of information is what keeps us healthy and healing, right? The nerves go to our organs. With bad posture, our organs start to have stress because the nerves are not able to function the way that they move. Chiropractic helps to return normal function to the nerves because nerves are what deliver information. If there's any impedance on that nerve, it doesn't function properly, right? Your spinal column is designed to last you a lifetime and provide you with structural health throughout a lifetime. When we have the normal posture, so again, when we have these normal curves in the spine stays healthy for a lifetime. But as soon as we have a subluxation or misalignment in the spine in one of three ways, either individual vertebrae move out of alignment, whole sections of the spine move out of alignment, or curves in the spine change position, it puts an abnormal stress on the spine. That abnormal stress our body responds to because what? Our body's smart. So our body responds to that. We start getting swelling and inflammation. We start to get muscle tension. And over time, 10 to 15 years later, we start to see breakdown of the discs. We see breakdown of the spine. So we start to see bones burst. These things are not inevitable. I've seen people in their 50s and 60s and 70s who have no bone spurs. I've seen people in their 30s that have several bone spurs, right? So we look at these curves. They need to be functioning because they act like a spring. The spine has 24 movable bones and a joint at each one. Each joint's made up of two discs, one above it and below it, right? The discs are not shock absorbers. They're spacers. Your curves are the shock absorbers, right? So biomechanically, this is what your spine is supposed to look like, right? So over on the side, the curves in the babies, we even have curves as babies, right? That's the way the body's supposed to take up the shock. The discs absorb a little shock, but their main job is to create space, right? So subluxations are misalignments of the spine. Joint misalignments, they create soft tissue damage. We get inflammation and then nerve irritation, muscle spasms, joint fixations, loss of imbibition. Imbibition is the movement of the spine, pumping nutrients in. And then stress hormone production, right? So these are the things that happen when the spine's out of its alignment. Who takes care of all these things? We as chiropractors. We as chiropractors need to step up and really become the talking heads for posture, because posture is causing an epidemic in breakdown of discs of the spine and of the nervous system. And we recognize these at the end stages as chronic diseases. These chronic diseases can be prevented if we start living a lifestyle that takes into account our bodies are functioning right. And the first step is our posture, is making sure that your posture comes back to a normal functional position. So what are you going to do about it, right? Move, move, move. Use your body as your coach, right? It tells you when it's time to do something, sit, stand, on demand, because our bodies are designed to move. Reach, stretch, sit. I recommend 30 minutes, set an alarm. If you're sitting, set an alarm for 30 minutes. Even if you have to stand up, stretch side to side, march in place a few times, do 2 or 3 squats, get the blood moving, get your body moving, get your body functioning the way it's supposed to. Essentially, movement produces endorphins, which help enhance our mood, right? This minimizes our pain, and the movement lubricates your joints, moves oxygen and nutrition throughout our bodies. It even helps us cleanse toxins. Movement's essential for our mental, physical, and social well-being. It's powerful. It's not a revolution or revelation, right? Our bodies are hardwired to move from day one, right? We're self-regulating, we're self-repairing, we're self-conscious, amazingly intricate, a system of interrelated functions that happen naturally. You watch a baby, they want to move, right? It's society. It's these things that have literally been programmed to have us sit in one spot for extended periods of time. What would these things be? Well, like phones, right? I don't know if anybody's watched the movie Social Dilemma, right? These programs, these software programs are made to make us want to sit and get engaged. You know, it's great, they're fun, but we need to understand what's happening to us. So we want to make sure that we're using different workstations, like me right here, a stand-up workstation, right? Have something so that you can stand part of the day. And I got to tell you, on our Facebook page, I posted at Costco, they're selling these perfect stand-up desks. They go up and down super easily. They're less than $300. I believe everybody should have one of these. It's an amazing one. go to juststand.org. It looks at some of the desktops so you can see what you can have. But like I said, these Costco ones are amazing. They're inexpensive. They work very well. They're very advanced as well. So making sure that we set up our computers properly. Go ahead and do this. If you have any questions of how to set up an ergonomic position for your desk, for your home, anything like that, go ahead and comment here and we will send you a 4 or 5 page document that talks about ergonomics, right? So that you can at least sit in the best possible position that you can. But look at a stand-up workstation, super important, right? Ergo equation, neutral posture plus voluntary movement plus rest equals workspace wellness, right? It starts with paying attention to your body's experiences. Start with that as the basic, and ergonomics can actually be super simple, right? So this is what we want to do. We want to make sure that you have less body strain, fewer repetitive stress injuries. These things all lead to better health, right? Look at this. We often fall into this rounded posture we've fatigued our structure into. Neutral posture, right? Neutral and comfortable. Energy expenditure is super low because, like I said, Jenga blocks, your spine stacks like Jenga blocks. If we're standing ears over the shoulders, the spine's nice and neutral, those muscles don't have to do anything, right? Sometimes people say, oh, but it's more comfortable to stand like this. That's just because your body's grown that way and the muscles are now shortened into this position. So when you try to get into a normal position, those muscles stretch and try and pull you back, right? So we need to understand these things. The feet, when you're sitting, they should be flat on the floor. The knees should be directly over your feet, bent at right angles, right? You should be sitting on your sit bones, not on your tailbone. So this means you want to have a curve in your lower back so that you're sitting right on those 2 bones on each cheek, right? That's where you stack your spine from. Think of your spine like a Jenga block, right? Your upper back is naturally rounded forward, right? So your upper back's rounded forward, but your shoulders are open. Your shoulders and arms are relaxed at your side. The neck is arched back. It's not shifting forward. The neck's arched in a natural posture, right? And supported on top of your spine so that it's strong. Be careful not to hold tension underneath your chin. Balancing of your head literally sits on top of your spine and you shouldn't have to use any work to hold it up. Most of the time after people have been in car accidents, the number one thing that I hear is, doc, it's really hard to hold my head up. That's because all the muscles have been injured and their head's in the wrong position. So it's hard for those muscles to actually use. The key to a good chair is adjustability. You don't get the chair into one position and then leave it forever. It's being able to adjust it over and over. Adjust the height of the seat, the angle of the seat, the height of the backrest, angle of the backrest, and the armrests, right? Last of all, right, the workstation. Your keyboard should be positioned above your thighs. Your shoulders should be able to reach the keys with your arms at a 90-degree angle. So if your arms are coming down, most people, this is right around belly button height. So this is where that should be. Your forearms are roughly parallel to the ground and your elbows, like I said, are at 90 degrees. It will tire you out quickly if you're not used to it, right? The mouse should be just to the side of your keyboard so that you don't have to lean, you don't have to stretch or hunch to work at it. This will help with the way that your shoulders are able to function. Get up and move, right? Wall stretch, stretching those pec muscles out, right? A door stretch, stand in the doorway and just make a T like this, come through there, helps to open this up. Life extension exercises, making sure that we're extending our bodies. We don't use our extenders enough. Laying on the floor, bringing your chest off the ground, your head off the ground, even your feet off the ground can start to help with this, right? Do apps on your smartphone to make sure that you get up and move. Doing a few squats, engaging the muscles that have been tired, right? Stretching, take a Mac breaks, right? Text neck indicator is when that head comes forward. So there's little devices you can say that start to vibrate when your head comes forward, right? Just using the timer, like I said, this is something to do. It may be hard at first, but just remember to move. Think about it as an investment in your human capital. You implemented this kind of change and it means that there's behavior modifications, some knowledge, a little bit of discipline, and well, maybe a lot of discipline and getting these things to work with you, but it's your body. It's the only one you have. It's totally worth it. Small things done consistently over time create good health. health starts with posture. Posture is key to making sure that every other aspect of your health and your life function well, right? Posture, being able to eat well, being able to move well, and being able to think well. These things are what truly matter, right? So which direction are you headed, right? This is an important question. More importantly is what steps are you going to take? Procrastination is the thief of health. If any of these things resonated with you today, go ahead and leave a message below. We can get in touch with you. We're offering a complimentary postural exam so that we can see how your body's existing in gravity. So this is something that you can start to move toward good posture rather than continuing the bad habits that we already have. So give us a call at Energize Chiropractic. Number's 425-814-9644. But easiest way is to go to energizechiro.com and check us out there. So in the meantime, I'll leave you with this picture. This picture is how we want to be sitting. Once again, sitting on the sit bones. Spine is stacked. Shoulders are up and back. You can see the arms are down. Keyboard and mouse are close. The monitor is at eye level. So if we draw an X in the monitor, we're right at eye level. I'm Dr. Jeremy with Energize Chiropractic and Wellness, and we are here to help you energize your life. Please put some of these things that we talked about today into action. The action that you take is going to be equal to the health that you take away from your body.